This is the week that decides your September. It is a 7-day journey that begins in courageous self-expression, passes through a confrontation with the shadow, dives into radical surrender, and culminates in a spiritual revelation. Look at the calendar. Feel the energy. This is not just another week in August. It is the bridge to the next chapter of your life, and the crossing is mandatory. The universe, in its rhythmic wisdom, does not change from one chapter to another abruptly. It creates weeks like this: passages, portals, transition corridors designed to prepare us, purge us, and align us with the new frequency that is coming. What you are feeling in the air this Sunday is not just the end of a month. It is the pressure of an immense, energetic door closing behind you, and the blinding light of a new door opening before you. The choices you make in the next 7 days, the truths you have the courage to confront, and the baggage you finally decide to release will not just influence your next week, they will write the script for your next month. Think of this week as a 4-stage mountain climb. At the beginning, at the base, we are called to reclaim our brilliance and our strength, to remember who we are in our most radiant essence. This is the phase of courage. Next, the trail becomes steeper and darker, forcing us to confront our shadow, the truths we have silenced, the part of us that sabotages our own light. This is the phase of confrontation. After the confrontation, we reach a deep river that must be crossed, a dive into our most intense emotions for a final purge, a radical surrender to the process of transformation. This is the phase of release. And finally, upon reaching the top of the mountain after the crossing, the sky opens up and we receive the reward, a clear view of the new horizon, a download of clarity and inspiration that redefines our path. This video is your map for this climb. It is not a passive forecast of what will happen to you, but an active guide on how you can consciously participate in your own evolution. Most people will simply be dragged by this current of energies, feeling confused, reactive, and exhausted, without understanding why the week was so intense. But not you. In the next few minutes, we will guide you day by day through this final crossing. We will decode Monday's call to brilliance, Tuesday's shadow test, Thursday's dive of surrender, and Friday's transcendent breakthrough. Each phase is an opportunity. Each day is a test. And how you navigate this week not only decides your September, it decides the kind of person you will be when you get there. The bridge is before you. The crossing begins now. The final crossing, the week that decides September, begins on Monday. And it does not begin with a test of suffering, but with a call to glory. Today's energy is ruled by Venus, the planet of love, value, beauty, and pleasure, shining at its maximum power in the royal and expressive sign of Leo. Think of it as the universe, turning a golden spotlight on you, on the stage of your life, and whispering with a clear and unequivocal voice, "It's your turn to shine. Show me who you are, in your most radiant essence." The first stage of any great journey of transformation is not the confrontation with the shadow, but the reclaiming of one's own light. Before we can face our inner demons or dive into our emotional depths, we must first remember our value, our strength, and our inherent beauty. Venus in Leo is this reminder. It is a call to the stage, a summons to stop hiding in the wings of your own life, worried about the audience's opinion. The first aspect of this call is that of authentic brilliance. And it is crucial to understand that this has nothing to do with arrogance, with the need to be better than others, or with an empty performance to garner applause. It is the exact opposite. Authentic brilliance is the courage to express what is in your heart in a creative, generous, and unapologetic way. It is the permission you give yourself to share your talents, no matter how much your critical mind tells you they are not good enough. It is the permission to speak about your passions with enthusiasm, to laugh out loud, to dance, to take up space in the world with your unique energy. Today's energy tests your ability to allow yourself to be seen in your uniqueness, without the constant need to fit into a mold or to diminish yourself to make others feel comfortable. The question Venus in Leo asks you today is, in what areas of your life have you been dimming your own brilliance for fear of others' judgment or envy? Today, the universe forbids you from continuing to do so. The second aspect, inseparable from the first, is that of courageous sensuality. And here, we need to expand our definition of sensuality. We are not just talking about romance or physical attraction. Sensuality, in its essence, is our ability to feel pleasure, to be fully alive and present in our own body, to enjoy the world through our five senses. The courageous sensuality that Venus in Leo activates is the act of claiming your sovereign right to pleasure. It is the courage to wear that outfit that makes you feel powerful and beautiful, regardless of fashion trends or what others may think. It is the courage to savor a meal with total presence and delight, without guilt. It is the courage to say yes to what gives you genuine joy and a firm, unapologetic no to what drains your energy and your soul. It is about falling in love with the experience of being alive, and consequently, falling in love with yourself. It is the act of treating yourself like royalty. But make no mistake, this call to brilliance and pleasure is not a free gift. It is the first and most fundamental test of the week, because it mercilessly illuminates all our insecurities and all the inner voices that tell us we are not worthy of being on stage. The very moment Venus in Leo pushes you to the center, the wound of self-criticism, which we may have explored last week, can scream, "Who do you think you are to shine so brightly?" The fear of judgment, the fear of being too much, may try to pull you back into the safety and familiarity of the shadows. Shame may tell you that your desires for pleasure and recognition are selfish or inappropriate. The test, therefore, is simple in its formulation, but profound in its execution. Will you believe the voice of your heart, which longs to express itself, or the voice of your fear, which longs to hide? Will you answer the call to shine, even if imperfectly and with trembling legs, or will you surrender to the comfortable familiarity of invisibility? Your choice on Monday sets the tone for the entire crossing. To face Tuesday's shadow, you must first have connected with your light. This is your chance to charge your battery, to fill yourself with self-appreciation, to remember your innate power before entering the darker and deeper phases of the journey that follows. After the call to brilliance and courage from Venus in Leo, the trail of our crossing on Tuesday becomes darker, steeper, and more dangerous. The energy shifts from the heart to the mind, from brilliance to shadow. The universe now presents us with the second test, and it is a confrontation. A confrontation not with the outside world, but with our own repressed truth, with the words we have swallowed, and with the part of us that refuses to be silenced. This happens because Mercury, the planet of the mind, logic, and communication, now in the analytical and precise sign of Virgo, forms a square, an aspect of maximum tension and crisis, with the black moon Lilith, our wild and untamed force, which is transiting the sign of truth, Sagittarius. To understand the depth of today's test, we need to understand the two characters who are at war within you. Think of Mercury in Virgo as the editor-in-chief of your mind. He is logical, practical, organized, risk-averse, and obsessed with details. His main function is to ensure that everything you say is correct, appropriate, efficient, and above all, that it doesn't create unnecessary chaos. He analyzes every word, fears imperfection and disorder, and believes that the truth should only be spoken if it is useful and well formulated. Now think of Lilith in Sagittarius as the voice of your most primal and philosophical truth. She is the part of you that is existentially tired of lies, half-truths, social formalities, and of keeping quiet to maintain a false peace. She doesn't care about diplomacy, details, or consequences. She only cares about one thing: raw, unfiltered truth. She wants to scream your truth from the mountaintop, not to hurt, but to free herself from the weight of inauthenticity. The square between them, today's aspect, is a civil war. It is the editor-in-chief, Mercury, trying to censor, correct, and silence the wild and passionate manuscript that your soul, Lilith, is trying to publish. The result, which you will likely feel in your system, is an almost unbearable internal tension. You feel the truth bubbling in your chest, the urgent need to speak, to confront, to expose a lie. But your logical mind, your internal editor, screams in panic, "Don't say that. It will cause trouble. It's not the right time. You don't have all the evidence. You'll sound crazy." How do you feel this war? Firstly, as an emotional urgency, a feeling that if you don't speak your mind now, you will explode. It is an anxiety that accumulates in the throat. Secondly, as a paralyzing internal conflict, where you replay the same conversation in your mind 100 times, alternating between the courage to speak and the paralyzing fear of the consequences. And finally, for many, this pressure manifests as verbal slips or a blunt, tactless honesty, where Lilith's energy, repressed for too long, escapes without Virgo's filter, wreaking a havoc on relationships. And here is this day's test. What do you do with this truth that demands to be spoken? Most people, out of fear, will fall into one of two extremes, failing the test. Either they will allow the editor, Mercury, to win, completely silencing their truth, swallowing their anger and frustration. The result is that the unspoken truth turns into internal poison, which later manifests as resentment, passive aggressiveness, or even physical illness. Or they will allow Lilith's fury to win, spitting out the truth without any awareness, without any filter, in an act of pure reactivity. The result is the burning of bridges, the creation of unnecessary chaos, and the loss of power, as truth spoken in anger is rarely heard. But the middle path, the path of mastery, the path you are being invited to, is that of integration. It is to honor Lilith's visceral truth, but use the intelligence and strategy of Mercury and Virgo to communicate it effectively. The test is, do you have the courage to give voice to your shadow without letting it take command of the ship? The choice between silent repression, chaotic explosion, and powerful integration is yours, and it prepares you for the even deeper dive that awaits us. The crossing continues, and on Thursday, the trail leads us to the darkest, most intense, and most transformative place on the journey, our own emotional underworld. The moon, our sentimental center, dives into the deep and turbulent waters of Scorpio after the brilliance of Venus in Leo and the mental confrontation with Lilith. The universe now asks us to stop talking, stop thinking, and simply feel. It is the moment to dive in and cleanse the wound that the previous confrontation exposed. The energy of Scorpio is not comfortable, nor was it meant to be. It is about power, secrets, intimacy, control, and above all, about death and rebirth. It is the energy of the purge, of the soul's detox, the process of burning what is old, so that the new can be born from the ashes. How will you feel this? Firstly, as an instinctive need to withdraw from the world. The social brilliance of Leo and the mental tension of Mercury give way to a heavy silence, a desire for solitude. Emotions you thought you had already overcome, especially those linked to power, betrayal, or deep losses, may surface with overwhelming force. Anger, sadness, grief, jealousy. It is crucial to understand. These are not new emotions. They are old, stagnant emotions that the previous confrontation with your shadow dislodged and which now finally need to be released from your system. And herein lies the test of the moon in Scorpio, perhaps the most difficult of the week, the test of radical surrender. Most people, upon feeling this emotional intensity, panic and try to fight against it. They try to repress, analyze, distract themselves, find someone to blame, but the energy of Scorpio cannot be controlled by the mind. It can only be experienced and transmuted by the heart. Trying to fight this emotional tide is like trying to stop a tsunami with your hands. The only way out is through. Your task here is not to fix what you feel, but to allow yourself to feel it fully, without judgment. It is the permission for catharsis, for a controlled breakdown. If the urge to cry comes, find a safe space and cry. If anger comes, find a safe way to release it. A scream into a pillow, intense physical exercise. This is the moment for the week's great emotional cleanup, the necessary purge before the renewal. The great power of Scorpio is that of the phoenix. By allowing the fire of emotion to burn away what is old and toxic, you are not destroyed. You are purified. You emerge from this dive not only lighter, but immensely more powerful. The energy that was once used to repress and contain these emotions is now free, available for you to use creatively and consciously. This emotional purge is the final step of the preparation. It is what cleanses the psychic channel so that you can receive, with maximum clarity, the visionary insights that the end of the week promises. You needed to empty the cup so that it could be filled with a new and transcendent vision. And it is toward this vision that we are now heading. After the deep dive into the waters of Scorpio, after the purge and the radical surrender, the crossing reaches its final and highest reward. On Friday, the sky opens up. Emotional intensity gives way to visionary clarity and a sense of transcendental peace. This is the moment that all the hard work and courage of the week have prepared you for. The catalyst for this frequency shift is a generational, slow and powerful aspect, now activated by faster transits. Uranus, the planet of awakening, innovation, and sudden insights, forms a harmonious sextile with Neptune, the planet of spirituality, dreams, and universal consciousness. Think of it as the union of the highest technology with the deepest intuition. It is the moment when insight and dream become one. What you will feel is no longer a dense emotion, but a vision. It is a download of clarity about your future. Suddenly, you may see the solution to a long-standing problem in a completely new, original, and innovative way. Uranus. You may get a glimpse of your true purpose, your soul mission, feeling a deep connection to something greater than yourself. Neptune. This is not an escapist fantasy. It is a strategic and spiritual vision. Because you cleansed the emotional noise and confronted your shadow, your psychic channel is now open and clean to receive guidance from a higher frequency. It is the ability to look at the horizon of your life and for the first time, see not the fears and limitations of the past, but the limitless possibilities of the future. It is the moment when you stop being defined by your history and start being magnetically drawn by your most authentic potential. The entire journey of this week, the courage to claim your brilliance in Leo, the confrontation with Lilith's truth, the emotional purge of Scorpio, was the process of emptying your cup, of clearing the murky waters so that it could now be filled with this clear and crystalline vision. This insight, this new vision, is the final reward of your crossing. It is the map for your September, the beacon that will guide you in the next cycle. It is not something you need to do or force now. It is something you simply need to receive, integrate, and allow to guide you. With your heart shining, your shadow confronted, your emotions purged, and your vision clear, you have reached the top of the mountain. You are on the other side of the bridge, and the feeling of being here is our final destination. And so, the crossing is complete. You began the week reclaiming your brilliance and your courage. You faced your verbal shadow, dived into your emotional depths for a radical purge, and finally reached the top of the mountain to receive a new vision. You did not just survive the week that decides September, you navigated it with consciousness, intention, and immense courage. You are now on the other side of the bridge. Take a deep breath. Feel the difference in your energy. The tension of the climb has given way to the peace of the summit. The noise of the confrontation has given way to the silence of clarity. The energy is no longer one of testing or purging, but of integration and realized potential. What you carry into the next chapter is not the weight of the past, but the wisdom of your journey. You carry the self-confidence of Leo, the honesty of Lilith, the resilience of Scorpio, and the visionary clarity of Uranus and Neptune. You are no longer the same person who started this week. The crossing has transformed you. September opens up before you not as an unknown and frightening territory, but as a landscape of immense potential. For you now have a new map in hand, the vision you received. The crossing was not the end. It was your preparation. The real journey begins now, but you start it from a place of power, clarity, and alignment that you did not possess before. You did the work. You are ready. If this journey through the transition week resonated with you, if you feel stronger and clearer for the new cycle that is beginning, anchor this victory. Like this video, share it with someone who needs courage for their own crossing, and declare your readiness for whatever the future holds in the comments. I am ready for September. And don't forget to subscribe so we can navigate the next powerful chapters together.